Now, I'm not saying go out and do something wrong. I'm just saying you don't have to be in a panic that, you know, if you get something a little bit wrong and somebody happens to make a phone call, you're going to be put out of business. It doesn't work that way. So how do they evaluate potential for harm? It's how toxic was the release, and you know, where did it go? What was it? If you see if I can just pick an example off the top of my head. Well, we'll use the one you were talking about earlier. Is that okay?
Sure.
So you got a commercial development, you're doing some pressure washing there, you're using clean water, you're not using any kind of chemicals in the mix, and it's discharging to a retention pond on the site of that commercial development. Great. There's no violation there. You're not discharging anything. It's going into the retention pond, you're all good. If somebody from the store happens to call, or a resident or a customer happens to come up and say, hey, you guys can't be doing that, we come out and look at it, we're going to say, they're not discharging. So there's no violation. Now, if you're using some strange chemical, yes?
I'll let you finish on the chemical part, but the main reason is because they're not discharging into a U.S. water. I mean, that's
right. Yeah, a discharge is to waters of the state, which means any kind of like wetland, lake, river, stream, something like that, or to another jurisdiction's MS4. So if it's going into the street, or if it's going into the ditches or canals or something like that, that would be considered a discharge. If you're just letting water run into the retention pond, here, let me take a step back. Retention pond in this area means a pond that does not have an outfall. So the water goes in there and it stays in there, and it either soaks in the ground or it evaporates. So that's considered retention. It doesn't go anywhere. Now, yes?
Especially in Florida, what about subsurface aquifers and things like that?
Now, there are groundwater protections as well. Again, it depends on what you're doing and the volume of it that would determine if you're going to have a problem with that. Those retention ponds are permitted to handle the type of runoff that would be going in there. So things that are coming out of the parking lot, things that are coming off the roof, whatever. Now, if you're dumping toxic waste, it's not designed to handle that, and so there's going to be a problem. And similarly, if you're doing some sort of business on site, you know, say you're a dry cleaner or an automotive shop or a galvanizing operation, something like that, you might be using chemicals that can't go into the retention pond. You might be using substances that can't go there. And there's a whole set of BMPs for that. Those businesses don't know about it. You guys are just cleaning those businesses, right? So the only time that matters to you is if you're cleaning all of that junk off of the walls and it's going down the drain. That's when you might get on the hook for it. So I'm going to talk about some BMPs that you can do about that.
Really quick question.
Yeah.
Do you think in the situation of cleaning that shopping center, explain to me how we could possibly be reducing the pollution to the MS4? Give me a scenario.
Keeping things clean is a BMP. You know, you're removing that stuff that's accumulating on the ground. Street sweeping, you know, whether wet or dry, which is similar to the pressure washing, is considered a BMP. Now, in that case, it's being collected. So it all depends on what you're doing with the material. So if you're putting it into a safe location, or you're removing it before it has a chance to build up to harmful potential, then you could be considered helpful.